Well, thank you there to Rory, catching up with, of course, our LG driver to watch, Kevin Siggy, in this race. Bit of a change-up in the commentary booth because I'm bored of standing next to George Morgan. I'm Lewis McGlade. Ewan O'Leary is still in the commentary booth. We can't get rid of him for now. We're now heading into a different group. This time it's Group B. It's a different set of drivers, a second driver for each of the teams. Yeah, certainly. So these were the guys who raced against each other as Group A on Thursday. They're now Group B. It doesn't really matter. They're driving on the same tracks, and that's the whole idea. General consensus, from the teams was that we want to practice the same two tracks really for this part of the competition for both group stages, and so they're generally against the same people they were before, like Kevin Siggy against the drivers, the 11 drivers that he beat twice on Thursday. Yeah, certainly so. Well, of course, our championship leader driver, teams-wise, at the moment, is, of course, Marcel Chinchik. But heading into a different circuit, we know. Oh, sorry, Marcel Chinchik is RHG. I can read and I can speak as well. We're heading into a different circuit now. We've done Monza, we've done Nürburgring. We're now going to do Hockenheim and Spa with the drivers that we have in here. You can see, obviously, all hands on deck at the Apex Racing team. Of course, Kevin Ellis Jr. will be the driver for them this time. A couple of other drivers to focus on, obviously, Marco Pajic out in this one as well. One that we kind of want to focus on a little bit is Freddie Rasmussen, because when we talk about the teams and some of the positions they've been in, Isaac Price finds himself, Isaac Price did a 9th and a 3rd, putting G2 Esports into that top 6. Actually quite a decent opening performance. It means that Freddie Rasmussen is going to be under a lot of pressure, and he's actually going to be our first driver out in qualifying. Absolutely, lots of pressure on him, especially for a new driver relatively as well to ESL R1 competition. We know how strong he is in GT3s. Generally over on iRacing, he was the best GT3 driver in sim racing for a period of time, I would argue. Maybe some people would argue against that, but Fred Rasmussen knows his way around a GT3, but not so much around ESL R1. The only problem for him is that he's had a slow first sector already. Straight away, T1 must have run wide as we head into this qualifying session. 21.6, he's done a 20.1, or 20.1 is what they were aiming for. And remember what Luke Bennett said when we had him stood here on the broadcast yesterday. The Hockenheim laps are basically made, it's make or break at turn 1. So clearly, Rasmussen has gone for broke, and he has broken everything. He has got to slow down, and that was the key that Luke Bennett said. You need to nail turn 1. It sets you off on a good path here at this circuit, but Fred Rasmussen, unfortunately, has got that wrong immediately. But of course, the major thing to focus on there is where will he end up with the other drivers that may have slowed down penalties as well, because there are quite a few that could well end up having them throughout this session. So Freddie Rasmussen setting a 45.6 in that middle sector. Painfully for him, that's actually not bad. A couple of tenths off, but still in the ballpark of what we'd expect as he comes through the final corner, probably aiming for about a mid-37 here as he comes through that final corner and up towards the line. Freddie Rasmussen will set a 37.7. I can tell you where that will be, and it won't be the front. No, it will probably be a bit further down the back for him, I'm afraid, at this point. But as you say, Isaac Price got G2 Esports off to a good start, and so if Rasmussen could just tick along with the points in the same way, then it'll be fine. Let's not forget that Price did exactly the same thing at Monza in his first race of the two, as Kevin Siggy comes around the final corner now. Big things hope from him for Team Redline based on what he did on Thursday. He's over the line now. It's a 36.0, exactly where he wants to be. That's a solid lap time. We'd like a lower 0, but oh, Tommy Iscard has had an issue going up towards Mobile 1, and he's backwards and now reversing. I know what he's done here. He's got as close to that left-hand side wall as possible, and he's clipped it. Ah, well, there we go. So he's not going to be the next driver to set a lap time. It will actually end up being Erhan Yayovsky. Decent, or first sector's a little bit off. That's a terrible mistake from Tommy Iscard. He's definitely starting from last. We don't actually see many crashes in qualifying in ESL R1. In fact, I think that might be one of the first. Very rare to see that kind of thing happen. So yeah, that is somewhat of a surprise. But yeah, as I say, he's trying to open out Mobile 1 as much as he possibly can. You're staying to the left-hand side, but he's just misjudged it slightly. He's clipped the wall, and it's sent him into a huge accident, I'm afraid. Erhan Yayovsky then will be the next driver to come across the line for REG Esports. Wonderful start from Marcel
Marcel Chinchik. Yovski just needs to keep that going that little bit. He's over the line now, and it's a 36-0, slightly in front of Kevin Siggy.
6 thousandths of a second. Hello there. Wow, that's an impressive time from Erhan Yovski. The first sector was lacking a little bit. The second sector was absolutely spot on. Speaking of which, Kevin Ellis Jr. in a similar sort of ballpark. First sector a little slower, second sector a little faster. He'll come through the final corner now. I think it's going to be for third, but Kevin Ellis Jr. showed his one-lap pace on Thursday when he managed to work his way through into Friday's action at a 1v1 duel with Pajic. He'll cross the line, and it is third position, a few hundredths down on Yovski and Siggy.
I mean, has that kind of thing not been the story of Apex Racing Team's season? Good lap time, relatively so, but a tenth away. They're just missing that last tenth of a second, and in ESL R1 it costs you so many places to be just 1/10 away. Marco Pajic then out towards the line as well. He won round 6, of course, of the regular season and narrowly missed out on the finals for the Drivers' Championship held here. Yesterday he got beaten by Kevin Ellis Jr., who he's racing against once here. Once again here, it's another time very close to his. My goodness, they can't get away from each other, can they?
No, they certainly can't. It's actually even closer than it was on Thursday. Ryan Barneveld had a really good showing in the opening race of the day, putting BMW M-Team BS competition right up the order. Ibrahim Khan with the pressure on his shoulders to try and react to that, but unfortunately that second sector is somewhat poor. This lap time will put him in 5th position ahead of Freddie Rasmussen, ahead of Tommy Uskar, but surely behind the top 4. He'll cross the line, and I think that's exactly where he's going to go. A 10th and a half off, actually recovers with a decent final sector. He's through into a decent first, but it's not good enough for Ibrahim Khan. Still seems to be smiling though.
He just looks like he's enjoying himself, doesn't he? And that's all we can ask for from him. Did a few rounds, by the way, of the regular season, but not the regular driver there, not one of the regular drivers for BS Plus competition. Patrick Holtzman, arguably the weakest of the Maus team over the course of the regular season. I really hope that he can get back to some of the form that has shown him really dominating in iRacing at some points throughout his career. Let's see what he can do here in ESL R1. It's a 36-2, and once again, that is a little bit the story of his season as well. He's not quite been to the standard of the 3 others. Yeah,
he's not quite found the pace that Yuri Kastorp has found, along with Moritz Lerner, and of course with our champion here at the ESL R1, sponsored by Aramco at Gamers8, that being Maximilian Benneker. Jack Keithley, who's joined us on the desk a little bit earlier on yesterday, will come through the final corner. The number 44 will cross the line, and he will head his way up the order to 5th position. Obviously after Dara McCormack's sterling opening group. That's a decent recovery, or decent addition to that from Jack Keithley.
0.104 away from pole, and he's 5th.
Yeah.
It's a really, really close qualifying session at the moment, and Erhan Yovski's time may be good enough for pole. Let's see if Mitchell de Jong can do anything about that as the American slides that Porsche around the final 2 turns, looking for a better performance than what saw him knocked out on Thursday. He goes over the line. It's a 36-1 from him, and he joins them within a 10th of a second of pole.
Yeah, fantastically close up in that top lot. I mean, the top 5 separated by a 10th of a second, and those behind aren't exactly a million miles away. Lasse Sorensen into that final sector. First sector's okay. Second sector for a BMW is actually not that bad. Kind of tracking to around about where Ibrahim Khan is, and to be fair, might end up with a decent final sector inside that 10th as well. He comes through the final corner. I think he might be around 7th place, maybe even 8th. He'll cross the line, and Lasse Sorensen drops to 9th. Actually lost a bit of time in that final sector.
Under 3 tenths away from pole, but only down in 9th. It's not a good start for real-life racing star Lasse Sorensen as well, as Ian Porter, also a star of other disciplines than sim racing, makes his way through the final turns as well. Not the only American in this session, joining Mitchell de Jong, hoping for a better Thursday that saw him black flagged for failing to serve a penalty that he accumulated throughout the race.
Certainly so. Porter will come through the final corner to set his lap time. 20.5 in the first sector's not really great. 45.8 in the middle sector's not a million miles off, but that will find him dropping down the order to 10th. So Krim just ahead of Freddie Rasmussen and Tommy Østgaard, showing once again that Krim is making some progress, but this is a track that he said that he feels fairly strong at. Alas, maybe not strong enough. So Erhan Yovski by 6 thousandths of a second, Ewan. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and this was the circuit, let's not forget, where he basically quit at the end of that race to see him out of the Drivers' Championship.
Certainly so. Well, Tommy Uskard will start from 12th position. 11th will be Freddie Rasmussen after slowdowns for the pair of them, and a big crash for Tommy Uskard. Ian Porter will start from 10th position, just behind Lasse Sorensen. Then we get to the tight margins. Patrick Holtzman in 8th position. Ibrahim Khan finding themselves just outside of a 10th position, a 10th rather of pole position. Jack Keithley in 6th place. And then we get to the really tight times. Marco Pajic, Mitchell de Jong, Kevin Ellis Jr., Kevin Siggy in 2nd, falling just 0.06 of a second behind the ALJ fastest qualifying lap, which was set by Erhan Yuyovski. Absolutely incredible to see such tight margins in ESL R1, sponsored by Aramco. We know Erhan Yuyovski's pedigree, especially when it comes to being a teammate. He assisted Marcel Cinčić to the title back in the Spring Major, and he's now trying to do something again for the team. Disappointment for him when it came to Thursday's action, of course, being knocked out. Well, he's listening to what we're saying because he's pushing himself forward.
He certainly is, yeah. He's probably tired also of us using that as an accolade for him, and he'd probably want his own.
Okay, he's a 2-time GT Pro champion.
There you are. He'd much prefer that. but yeah, this was the circuit, as I mentioned, where things really fell apart for him, and at the start of the race, got involved in an incident and said, no, I'm out. And that was it. That was indeed true, unfortunately. What role will he have, though, for RHG Esports here, though? Because you mentioned it in the regular season and the major as well. He was very strong for that team. They got 2nd, though, in the teams. If they're going to take on the likes of Team Redline, the likes of Mercedes and Maus and all of these others, they're going to need Erhan Yuyovski, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, you've got to remember with Erhan that basically when it comes to RHG, they've already started out quite well. Marcel Cinčić's got a 2nd and a 1st for the team, putting them at the top of the points. Now, if he can get another victory, if he can get another couple of podiums, RHG is starting to look really, really strong already to move through into tomorrow's action. And again, the points are reset tomorrow. It's just about being inside that top 6.
I mean, if he does the same that Marcel Cinčić did, I would argue they don't actually need to score any more points, because if you think about getting a top 5 every race, gives you an average of what, 80 maybe at the end of the day. That's probably an overestimation, I think, 80. Yeah. So Erhan Yuyovski, obviously not mathematically, but has the chance to actually guarantee RHG's safety already after only 4 races.
Yeah, which is incredible. Again, it shows. I guess this is why when you put your team out in that kind of order, you want to make sure that you're putting them out in an order which is going to work. So you're getting your strong drivers out early, unless you feel maybe you want to put your strong drivers in late to potentially react. It is so difficult and tantalising, and there are so many right decisions, so many wrong decisions. Is it the right one for RHG though, as we head into the second race on second group rather on Sunday? It's Marcel Cinčić on pole position, or Erhan Yuyovski, who will lead the way down into the first corner. He'll manage to hold himself off from Kevin Siggy as they race their way through. Porsche Coanda and Mercedes also going side by side in the background as we head down towards turn 2. Everyone keeping it well within the track limits as it's 3 wide as there is a move through the middle from Jack Keithley. Yeah,
Keithley backs out of it though and looks to get a better run out of there. He's absolutely side by side with Marco Pajic through turn 3. He'll just get the space given to him. He'll have the longer run round Parabolica though, and just behind them, Lasse Sorensen will make it 3 wide.
Yeah, it's going to be very tight here. So you've got the side by side between the 2 Mercedes represented teams on the left. You've got the movement as well from Lasse Sorensen. A move over from Marco Pajic. He's trying to send one down the inside of Mitchell de Jong, and there's contact ahead, and there's Kevin Siggy that's been sent round as well. That's Mitchell. Who was it that's sending him round?
Kevin Ellis Jr. for Apex Racing Team, and he drops back into the pack.
That is such high drama, and that is Kevin Siggy moving down to 12 through what we can only assume is no fault of his own, but we don't know for sure. We need to see that one again and again on replay. Erhan Yuyovski now gifted with a 1.3 second lead, and he is not the kind of driver to make a mistake from that.
And Kevin Ellis Jr. has got a good run on Patrick Holtzman in towards the Mobil 1 curve. He's not quite made the move there. It's side by side between Tommy Uskard and Freddie Rasmussen in towards the Mobil 1 curve. It's Uskard who's gotten through. That's 3 places in 1 lap from him.
Yeah, certainly so. So to the outside, there was a little bit of a look from Ian Porter from Tommy Uskard as well, riding on board with Freddie Rasmussen. I mean, we were saying about Freddie Rasmussen needing to have a decent drive here because Isaac Price has put in a 9th and a 3rd place to give G2 Esports 5th in the standings at the moment. They need to get more decent results onto the board, and Freddie Rasmussen is the one to do so at the moment. For this driver here, though, 2nd in shot, Kevin Ellis Jr., 7th place. If he is found to be guilty of spinning round Kevin Siggy, it will be a sizable penalty, which will drop him surely back down to 12th place and give him 0 points.
To be fair, Kevin Siggy's recovery from that spin was very good, because he's already on the back of the train now. Ian Porter just clinging onto the back of this, and he's got Kevin Siggy not too far away as we dive on board with Tommy Usgard at the moment, looking ahead at Ibrahim Khan for BS Plus competition. There may be a move down the inside here from the Porter into the big braking zone. He'll have a look. He won't go for it, unlike Kevin Ellis Jr., who has in towards that turn. Patrick Holtzman on the outside line. They'll be neck and neck on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, this is again fantastic stuff between the pair of them, riding on board with Tommy Usgard, trying to find his way past Ibrahim Khan. But look at this ahead, because it's a movement to the outside from Kevin Ellis Jr. That could be a fantastic move around the outside of the Mercedes Arena section. They head their way through, and Kevin Ellis Jr. working his way back up past Patrick Holtzman. That is a fantastic move, as he's trying to work his way back again. He's recovering as well.
Lasse Sorensen very close to Jack Keefley, just up in front, and Kevin Ellis Jr. going to aim to join them very soon. Let's have a look at a replay as to what happened with Kevin Siggy and Kevin Ellis Jr. Siggy was on the outside. He cuts back on the RHE driver, or tries to, and Kevin Ellis Jr. was already there.
Yeah, certainly so. As we'll take another look at it this time on board with Kevin Ellis Jr. So the door was open. He tried filling it, the up and under.
That's not Kevin Ellis Jr.'s fault, in my opinion.
No, I'm not sure either. It's kind of, if you're going to leave the door open, especially on lap 1, you've got to expect it to kind of be filled.
Well, yeah, and when you're going for one of those moves, you go to the outside on the way in with one of the corners, you cut back to the inside for a smoother run, a better exit, good traction, and a run to the next turn. On lap 1, it's difficult to do that at any point. You've got to make sure that you've got space behind you to do that, because as you say, when you leave the door open like that, when you're taking a different line, you've got to make sure that nobody's going to fill that hole that you've just left. And unfortunately for Kevin Siggy, he has made his own bed there, unfortunately.
Yeah, certainly so. Defensive line being taken from Ibrahim Khan as Tommy Usgard's trying to get around the outside. Freddie Rasmussen, who are on board with us. Contact between those two that are in those positions just ahead. Freddie Rasmussen now might take a look down the inside again. Spider cam over. You can see Freddie Rasmussen there, just basically the focus of shot as he's trying to work his way past Tommy Usgard. It might be a move down the inside as well from him as he's trying to fight his way past Ibrahim Khan. Great stuff between the pair. Ian Porter also might be in the mix as he's defending from Kevin Siggy. Round the outside, brilliant stuff there from Tommy Usgard.
And Rasmussen's going to have the run on Khan as well. He'll look to the inside of the Mobile 1 curve. They're 3 wide. Oh my word. Tommy Usgard will hold on somehow to 8th place. It will be side by side between the BMWs.
This is brilliant stuff. And again, Ian Porter in the mix. We say Ian Porter and Krim, he's making progress in the world of sim racing. This is showing it. Look at this as he's trying to get past Freddie Rasmussen. Big kicks of oversteer as we head into that final complex. Doors open though for Kevin Siggy to work his way through, and Ian Porter will be dropped back to the rear of the field. Siggy's getting aggressive now as he's trying to get past Freddie Rasmussen. Two of the best drivers in sim racing fighting over 10th and 11th, and Krim is just about able to hang on.
Well, that was fantastic. Ian Porter getting involved with the two BMWs just up in front of him and hounding Freddie Rasmussen through the final sector at Hockenheim. Great stuff to watch, and just another marker of the progress that Ian Porter has made. Let's not forget where he was the first time we were on an ESL R1 LAN event back in Poland. He was nowhere compared to where he is now. He is keeping pace with some of the best in sim racing, and it doesn't matter who you are, not many people can do that. Not many people in sim racing who have been driving for 5 or so years can make this amount of progress in 6 months.
No, absolutely not. It is incredibly impressive. Like you say, I mean, yeah, I'm sure it might seem like sometimes it's been like, oh, well, yeah, of course, go Krim. But no, seriously, it is a very impressive drive. We'll focus our way up the order, though, because Kevin Ellis Jr. is trying to work his way past the next driver. This time it's Lasse Sorensen with the door open going into the Mercedes Arena section. Big shout out, by the way, to Mitchell de Jong. Second position in this race, doing really well to score some decent points for Porsche Rwanda, who have a 12th and a 5th on the board, so 10 points to their name, and they need to move their way up. Not exactly in a good position when it comes to that cut line in the top 6 in the teams. Kevin Ellis Jr. looking to the inside. No word from race control just as to yet as to whether it's a racing incident or maybe even a penalty to Kevin Ellis Jr. That is something that might wait until after the race. That's a big send though down the inside of Lasse Sorensen, and just about leans on the rear right quarter panel. That
was very close to an incident, and Kevin Ellis Jr. has got to be careful, because while we don't think he deserves a penalty for what happened at the hairpin, he might get one.
Exactly.
So he will have that in the back of his mind, but he's not turned down the aggression at all, has he? He was really going for it on the back of Lasse Sorensen there. That didn't happen for him in the final sector, but yeah, he will have to be careful doing that kind of thing.
I mean, Kev's really good at quite a lot of these drivers It's happened now. What can you do about it? It's already happened. You're either going to get a penalty or you're not going to get a penalty. There is nothing that you can do now that will change that. So just get on with it. Lasse Sorensen is next. Try and get past. Try and get past Keithley. Maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe there won't be a penalty. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, Kevin Ellis Jr. is just focused on recovering up the order and trying to work his way past Lasse Sorensen, working his way past Jack Keithley as well. By the way, Lasse Sorensen and Jack Keithley, this is a bit of a memory game, but I'm pretty sure they used to be teammates about 10 years ago for a team called Precision, which also had Bonner House in the team as well. I'm pretty sure they were teammates. I think they overlapped in that squad, 2012, 2013, that kind of period. I don't think they did that much racing together, but still, I think they were in the same camp.
I'll leave that kind of historical stuff to you, Lewis.
I know, you were a very young boy
I was in primary school back then.
Don't.
So anyway, back to a replay of what happened between these guys battling for 8th place at the time. This was Tommy Oscar. That was flying into the corner, by the way, from Ian Porter. Goodness me, who we're on board with here, by the way. Tommy Oscar got into 8th place then, round the outside of Ibrahim Khan. That was a good move. And then Freddie Rasmussen made it 3 wide, very nearly. And fair play to Oscar there for knowing exactly the length of that Porsche and just cutting in time. Ian Porter even had a look at making it 3 wide here as well. There wasn't quite the room for that.
That's a bit as well sketchy. This is where Porter was trying to get past Rasmussen. Krim just on the inside line, going through the chicane. Outside, the door was open, and of course Siggy working his way through, and unfortunately moving Krim down into the final position now. 1.2 seconds off, I think, his time of trying to hang on to the back of Kevin Siggy. He held off for long enough. Gaps still fairly close between a lot of the contingent, but you can see the gaps appearing between De Jong and Jojowski. This one might be a move from Kevin Ellis Jr., but the answer on this occasion is no, as he gets closed in on by Patrick Holzman and Timmy Uskar. There's a bit of a gap as well back to Ibrahim Khan behind that.
Yeah, it's where the action is really. Further on behind the leaders, Erhan Jojowski looking safe in the lead, Mitchell de Jong safe in second, but those further behind are in a battle. It's from Jack Keithley in 4th, then Lasse Sorensen, Kevin Ellis Jr., Patrick Holzman, and then the rest further on behind. Tommy Uskar indeed getting fairly close, but there's Erhan Jojowski in a world of his own.
Yeah, he's flying right now. Like I said, as soon as he got put into that position after all the battling behind, I mean, I think he may owe Kevin Siggy and Kevin Ellis Jr. one, actually, after this race. We know that Erhan Jojowski and Kevin Siggy have had many battles over the last few years. Of course, I mentioned a bit earlier that Erhan Jojowski is a 2-time GT Pro champion on R-Factor 2. Well, the driver that he beat to do so just so happened to be Kevin Siggy, who he out-qualified by 0.06 of a second. That's how fantastic it was. But Siggy, with that pain earlier on, has gifted Erhan Jojowski the comfortable gap. And he's not the kind of driver that would make a mistake in that scenario. He'll just keep going, keep plodding along, keep ticking off the lap times. We know the quality of the Macedonian. But you've got to say, like, the lap times from those behind. If I'm Mitchell de Jong, Marco Page, if I'm Marco Page, I'm not even going to try and close up to Mitchell de Jong. 3rd place, pretty decent points for Page. And
at the moment, I've got to say, by the way, with Siggy so far down the order, it's putting Redline in a little bit of danger of going below the cut line at the moment to be the top 6 or not. So RAG pretty much the only safe team. Everybody else, well, it's chaos, to be honest. They're all involved as Jack Keithley on the defensive again. Lasse Sorensen looking inside and out as Kevin Ellis Jr. gets involved as well.
Yeah, certainly so. Kevin Ellis Jr. out wide, though, costing the position to Patrick Holzman. Bangs and bumps on the rear end from Lasse Sorensen and Jack Keithley as they head through. Patrick Holzman is going to potentially make his way past Kevin Ellis Jr. on this occasion. Not quite, as they head through the fast kick up towards the Mercedes Arena section. The outside line is being taken from Lasse Sorensen as they fight their way through. The inside line being taken from Kevin Ellis Jr. behind. Jack Keithley's able to hang on to 4th position for now, but this is all being turned up to 11. The outside line being taken from Kevin Ellis Jr. leaning on the 2, and look at Timmy Uskar, who's trying to get to the inside. It is 3 wide up towards Mobile 1, and Timmy Uskar to the inside. It's fantastic between them. Oscar's trying to pick up 2 for the price of 1 as they head their way through Mobile 1. He's to the outside of the Sachs curve, and I think he might have to just settle for Kevin Ellis Jr. Maybe not.
How well has Oscar raced in this particular heat here, because he's gained the places from 12th all the way up to 7th now, and it could have been 6th would it not have been for Patrick Holzman's defence through the Sachs curve there. That was fantastic racing between the two of them. The heroic driver rising through the field with every lap, it seems, at the moment. He's got 3 to go. What a bit of racing that was.
And here is Freddie Rasmussen, Ibrahim Khan battling a bit further down the order. Big send down the inside from Freddie Rasmussen for G2 Esports. Bit of contact on the apex, but Freddie Rasmussen nonetheless picks up another position again, trying to get a decent Hall, trying to pick up a few extra points, finishing in 9th position. It means if he's going to follow on from Isaac Price, it means he has to finish in third place when we go racing at Spa in the next one.
Absolutely. This is, yeah, then we've rounded off the 4, haven't we?
Halfway.
Yeah, we're halfway already. Goodness me. It's getting tense already. Lasse Sorensen looking to the inside of Jack Keithley again, and Patrick Holtzman will get off of that. He's now side by side with the Furia BMW.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there from Patrick Holtzman. That was, I mean, there was a little bit of a mistake there from Lasse Sorensen, who'd driven it in too deep, basically not quite locked to the rears. They got ABS on board. Patrick Holtzman's also trying to get down the inside of Keithley. That one's not going to work, but it was more defend from Lasse Sorensen, who loses out now, down to 6th place. Timmy Isgard and Kevin Ellis Jr. continue their fight for 7th.
Kevin Ellis Jr. there, we just got a glimpse of him on board. I don't know if you saw it, but he sort of smiled, not in a kind of I'm enjoying this way, but a kind of, you know, that kind of smile kind of way, and said something on the team radio. Now, obviously, we don't know what he said, but I would imagine we can't repeat it here. No. saying something about how ridiculous this fighting is that he's involved with right now. Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, you've got to say, as much as we're at LAN here, everyone's in person, everyone's fighting really, really hard. These drivers are still kind of enjoying this. You know, it is a hard fight, but they are. This is the kind of fight that if you sat at home, if there's not, you know, $600,000 on the line, you're actually really enjoying this fight.
Well, absolutely, we are, and hopefully everyone at home is as well. But you know, it's pretty stressful at times for the drivers as well when you're fighting for actual money. You know, if there was nothing on the line here, then it would be a great fun battle to be a part of. But when there's so much stress involved with making it to that top 6, especially for Kevin Ellis Jr. with Apex Racing Team only having 5 points to their name over the first 2 races, this is important stuff. And Jack Keithley knows it as he defends again in towards the hairpin.
Yeah, here we go then. So Jack Keithley trying to hang on to 4th position. Patrick Holtzman trying to steal it away. Lasse Sorensen also involved in the mix. Timmy Isgard going in a little bit too deep. Oh, that's such a good move from Patrick Holtzman right around the outside of the hairpin. I barely can believe that he's made that one stick, but that mouse car up to 4th place, that is sensational. The battle behind as well there between Timmy Isgard and the Fury of Lasse Sorensen. Sees Fury coming in towards Jack Keithley. What has happened to Keithley right here? He's struggling right now on his tyres.
He is, and he's going to get freight trained because Tommy Osgard's on the inside of him now as well as Lasse Sorensen, although that won't happen for Osgard. It's Kevin Ellis Jr. on the outside. He can't make it work there either. There's one more lap here for Jack Keithley to hold on, and he's struggling right now in that Williams Esports Mercedes. They got off to a great start with Darren McCormack, and Keithley's doing just enough where he is to keep that going.
Yeah, as they head through to end the penultimate lap of the race, heading on to the final one. Hanjowski leads by 1.2 seconds over De Jong, over Page. There's plenty of gaps between the pair of those. I don't see any switches happening. Patrick Holtzman, though, under, well, not actually under any pressure now that he's been able to pull away from Lasse Sorensen. It's Sorensen that's pulled away from Keithley. It's Keithley that continues to feel the pressure now in 6th position. It was such a good drive until this point, but like I say, I think that front left, which takes an absolute battering in that final sector, is just going off for the number 44 Mercedes AMG Team Williams Esports.
And Holtzman delivering once again. Let's not forget he was a finalist at the Vegas E-Race, which was the biggest prize fund until this particular event. He's been around for a while, and at the moment 4th place. He knows how to deliver on this stage. Now Tommy Osgard is going to have a go at Jack Keithley in 4th, 6th place. He goes to the outside line now. Very deep on the brakes from Keithley, though. He defended well beforehand. It's fallen apart slightly at the end. That was a push of Tommy Osgard, and based on previous incidents, he might get in trouble for that.
Yeah, and Kevin Ellis Jr., look at this. So he's got past Timmy Isgard. He's going to get past Jack Keithley here as well. This is a great recovery drive from Kevin Ellis Jr. Big snap of oversteer there from Timmy Isgard. We head into the Mercedes Arena section where Jack Keithley is trying to send it back down the inside. Great racing between this grouping, though, and Kevin Ellis Jr. up a couple of positions.
Whoa, that was contact, and here comes Freddie Rasmussen. Oh, Keithley's off the road as well. He's going to have to get back in here before the wall. Oh, he just did. 3 wide in towards the mobile curve. They've all made contact. Somehow they're all on the road still.
Oh, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. You don't see 3 wide through Mobile 1 too often. It has been a calm and subdued race from Hanjowski, though, at the head of the field, who'll come through the final corner. It's 2 wins today for RAG. The Macedonian on top ahead of Mitchell de Jong and Marco Bajic, who saw themselves being unfought throughout the rest of this race. Kevin Siggy's trying to pick up an extra one at the final moment as Timmy Isgard comes across the line in 9th. 8th place for Jack Keithley, but the result of this race is very questionable indeed.
Absolutely. Where will everybody be at the end of the stewards deciding there? Erhan Yovski's going to be in the lead, I know that much, but everybody else, who knows? That was quite a race at the Hockenheim, but not for Erhan Yovski. It was very calm and controlled.
Yeah, the pole position from 0.06 of a second would have told you that one was going to be extremely close all the way up to the line. An incident coming down into the hairpin put an end to that one straight away.
Sorry, Erhan Yovski with what we like to call headphone hair there.
A little bit. Oh yeah, there is quite the band. That's because he's sweating quite a bit. I mean, these races are hard work. Mehdi Al Fati over to have a couple of words with his driver. Of course, I know he can get in his ear, but getting down and feeling the emotion is more important. Let's take a look at the early stage of the race then. So Kevin Ellis Jr., this was the incident that basically sealed it for Erhan Yovski. Contact between the pair. Siggy dropped to the back. Kevin Ellis Jr. involved as well. Your thoughts?
I hope it doesn't rattle Siggy first of all for the next race, because we know it can do. As I said at the time, that's not Kevin Ellis Jr.'s fault in my opinion. Siggy kind of did that to himself and maybe knew that because he didn't get so angry about it actually compared to his qualifying laps sometimes, which he gets very angry about. This was the battling further back there that just enthralled us throughout. It was wonderful racing. Free wide into towards the Merv 1 curve right at the very end. We didn't actually see the conclusion of this, but what a fight it was.
So good. Like I say, a bit of a lean there from Tommy Esgard on Jack Keithley, and then Keithley dished it back coming through. Contact between the pair of those into Mobile 1. It was brilliant racing between the grouping there. But of course, at the front of the field, it was Erhan Yovski, who we're going to hear from now.
Erhan, a spicy Hockenheim race for sure for the viewers, but for you, seemed like it was pretty smooth sailing. How you doing?
After the hairpin, it was all right, but before that, I kind of overshoot turn 2, so Siggy was coming for an attack, and I think I managed to defend well, but unfortunately someone spun him. But after that, I think I was just managing my tires and looking not to get a cut track, so I think it went well.
فعلا عندنا المتسابق قدر يحقق النصر في السباق بشكل جدا ممتاز، فسألناه خصوصا في المضمار هذا جدا صعب فشلون قدرت تستغله لصالحك؟ قال انه بكل صراحه كان فيها حوسه شوي في البدايه، فهو استغلها لصالحه وبعدها حاول بس انه يوازن ما بين حراره الكفرات وقيادته ويصنع المسافات حتى برضو بين المتسابقين وقدر يتفوق عليهم.
Well, the team have got to be happy. Coming out of this, you've got 2 wins and a 2nd place on the board for R8G, so everyone's going to be ecstatic about that. So do you feel like that's eased off maybe just a little bit of pressure going into your next race, or are you still just going to attack it like you always would?
Oh, definitely eased quite a bit of pressure that I had, considering my poor performance in the individual side of the championship. So I think I'm just going to go for it.
فعلا عندنا المتسابق في سباقه او بالاصح مع فريقه في السباقات الاولى اللي كانت في المجموعه الاولى قدروا يحققون نصر، وهنا برضه في المجموعه الثانيه قدر هو يحقق نصر، فباقي له سباق واحد قبل لا يتبدل يجي متسابق ثاني من نفس الفريق. فسالناه ان هل السباق الجاي بيكون عليك ضغط كبير بحكم انكم قدرتوا تحصلون نقاط مره كثيره؟ قال اكيد فيها ضغط عالي، وخصوصا انه ما ادى اداء جدا ممتاز في سباقات الفرديه اللي كانت معنا او في البطوله الفرديه، فيبغى يرجع الحين بشكل افضل ويحقق النصر لصالح فريقه.
That's what we like to hear. A real racer's mentality. Go and attack your next race. Congratulations on the win, and congratulations to R8G for being top of the leaderboard in the teams at this moment. So for now, we're going to go back to the desk so they can chat about everything. And in the meantime, me and Atik, we're going to run upstairs to race control because we've got an incident to discuss.
بالضبط. الحين برضو اعزائنا المشاهدين راح ننتقل على الاستوديو ونرجع لكم مره ثانيه نشوفها مع اللجنه اللي عندنا والتحكيم، نشوف حتى برضو الحوادث اللي صارت وكيف تاثيرها على السباق.